Hello, my friends, and welcome to day 4 of my daily creative challenge in Adobe Illustrator. My name's Tyler Payton. I'll be your host for the rest of the week. Each day, we've been exploring new tools with Adobe Illustrator. So, the past couple of days, it's been creating Halloween illustrations, custom repeatable patterns, vibrant gradient effects, and how we could use those in our vector illustrations. So, it's been a lot of fun. Please check those out if you haven't seen them yet. But today is even better. So we're going to be exploring how to create custom vector brushes. So we're going to actually break it down. What does it take to make those brushes? How do we use those brushes? And even another little twist to this, we're going to show you how to intertwine that with the Intertwine tool, which is a new tool in Illustrator. And it's been probably the biggest rave across the week in the past couple weeks after Adobe Max. So I'm excited to jump in there, show you how to use it, and let's just start having some fun. So let's dive in. So to do this, we're going to actually do a quick overview of the final illustration. I had this example here I made, flowers. Pretty simple. We did a little bit extra with the type, made a little bit more of a 3D effect to it. But the real key element here is the fact that we're going to create this fun little weaving vine brush. So that's actually a stroke, and we're going to walk through how we created that and how we're going to use the intertwine feature to weave that in between our letters, giving it this whole 3D effect and dimension to it, which is going to be a lot of fun. So let's go quickly dive into it. Let's start with our type. Again, we're going to try to get this 3D effect pretty quickly. So I have our font up here already selected with our color palette. So you could type whatever you would like for your example. So we're going to stick to the main example we have here, flowers. So how do we make that? We're just going to go ahead and drag a duplicate, and I'm going to copy up here the color that we use for that secondary shadow effect. Just like that. I'm going to go ahead and then outline my font so that there's shapes. So you could do this outline feature to see what I'm talking about. There's a couple ways you can do 3D type. I like to kind of rely on creating a bit of these elements on my own, meaning I will get in here and start connecting these shapes with the pen tool. Pretty simple. So what I'm doing is making sure that we don't have any of these little dips that go in the overlapping of the shapes here. So I'm just going to connect all of those elements pretty quickly, because we got to get into the fun part. The fun part for this is going to be making that custom brush. And the custom brush is actually pretty quick to make, because we have a simple design here. We're just going to make some vines, and these vines are going to be really helpful when we're starting to use the intertwine tool. And I strongly suggest checking out what that tool is if you've never heard of it, because it's brand new to Adobe Illustrator 2023. So it's really cool to see the progress of that program and all these features that are coming into play here, because I used to do a lot of these intertwining type illustrations, and it's always fun to do with type, but it would take a lot longer than what this is going to take us today. So I am just creating this 3D effect with my type real quick, so that we can have that foundation start weaving in and out of these letters, giving us a fun effect. I would suggest like coming up with a theme. So I thought it would be a fun little idea to play around with this word flowers, and as a pun to it, we're going to actually weave our flowers all throughout these letters. All right, so we're nearly finished connecting these. And I'm just sending these shapes to back because we don't need them in the front. It's just a 3D illusion. Just like that. Let's get the E here. Make some slight adjustments. Let's do a once over. I think we got everything here. One more. Perfect. Okay. And I don't like this little bit of white space right here, so I'm going to color behind that. Okay. I am going to now select this top piece. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to select everything. I'm going to go down to my Pathfinder tool, and I'm going to merge these. Better yet, I need to make sure it's the same color. So merge these, and I'm going to paste my lighter color, because it was still in my clipping board, on top of that. So here's what we're looking at. Now we have some 3D type. I'm going to group this. And I think there's one thing we need to add that little highlight. And that's going to simply be, how should we do this? I think I'm going to select the lighter flower text. I'm going to go to, let's go to object, and let's go down to, figure this out. I think we're going to go to our, maybe it's our effects. Oh, there we go. Sorry. Objects path, offset path. And then we're going to make this slightly smaller than our overall flower type. And you can see the difference here. I'm just going to do 0.02, and we're working in inches. Select yes. And we're going to now move this, and I'm using the arrow key here. So I'm just going to click it up and then over to the left, trying to get the angle that we have with our type. That's all I'm trying to achieve here. Something like that should be good. And there's one trick I'm going to do here, which is I'm going to select this furthest shape here. These are grouped. I need to ungroup those. Select these new letters that we created. I need to group those separately. I'm debating if we should. Yeah, I think that's good. I was debating if we should maybe reduce that distance between these different shapes. I think that's fine though. Group that. Okay, now we're starting to get that 3D look. We got our little highlight on the letters here, and the font's looking really nice. Okay. Let's group this, and we're gonna align it center to our artboard. Our typography is done. All right, let's dive into why we're all here. We're gonna create a custom brush. And for this brush, a simple vine is all we're going after. So we're gonna start with a stroke. Let's change our color to something along the green palette. I think maybe that's good. Close this, open our stroke panel. I think we could do maybe a 1.5. Okay, perfect. So let's now create a leaf. I'm going to create with a circle, and then we're going to get the curve tool. We're just going to click on those 2 points. We're going to stretch this over a little bit until we get this little oval here with a hard point on each end. And we're going to place one here, and then we're going to place one on the opposite side, right about there. Okay. Hard part's done. Might even scale one of these a little further down. Some variation in the line. Okay. Now, let's select everything that we just made there. And something to note, have your brush panel already open. That's something that we're going to have to use, and it makes it very easy to do so if you just now drag your new shape into that panel, and you should see this little pop-up here. We're going to click on Pattern Brush, click OK. And what is this panel? So we are now seeing all the variations of this stroke that could happen or could be there. And you could see this path down here. So it's essentially saying, how do we handle the curves if you were to turn or do any sort of sharp curves with this new brush stroke? How do we handle it? And this shows you how you could do some of these presets to do that. And then also, if you're doing a straight line, how does that stroke effect change when you're doing the straight lines? Which is going to be essentially what we just created. So that's all fine. Let's say stretch to fit, add space to fit, approximate path. Could do approximate path. Let's go ahead and name our brush. Let's say Vines V2. Here's what we're going to name this. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and click OK. And you'll notice immediately that there is now a new brush in our panel here. And our old shape is still here. We're going to keep this. Sometimes I like to drag and repeat some shapes that I'm making, especially whenever I'm going to transform it into a brush. I like to keep it off to the side. In my head, that's my master. I can always go back and edit that one. But what we just created was now added to this brush panel. And if you click B, you should now be able to draw and create whatever shape you want with that vine. Pretty cool. And you could also do this with the pen tool. You could give yourself a little more. Yeah, just like that. It's just like adding any sort of stroke effect because it is a custom stroke. Okay. Now let's go ahead and start weaving this new brush all around our type. I'm going to look and see what we did on my old one here. Okay, there's a couple areas that I want to for sure copy. Something like that. And you'll notice it gets a little wonky in these areas. So it gets a little weird and distorted. And that gets back to how does this stroke handle those curves? You could customize this further. You could actually create each attribute of the stroke. So you could create your own corner, you can create your own endpoints, and you can customize that stroke to use that throughout. But for this case, we're going to keep it simple and just keep it how we have it here. So I'm just going to create a couple of these. Let's see, how should I handle? And I'm thinking ahead here. I'm thinking about where this vine should be weaving in and out because we're going to use the Intertwine tool to clip those out. Okay. And we can adjust it a little bit. Perfect. Okay, let's keep going. I think I might now intertwine a couple things to this W. Um, Sometimes you have to mash Command Z a couple times and try it again until you get the right form you want. I think that one works. I might even use my pen tool to get into that stroke I just made and customize it a little further, like that. Let's do that again. So you see how sometimes it gets a little strange in areas, but we can just keep going until we get the right effect that we have. And again, it does also help to have some sort of drawing tablet for these types of strokes, because a lot of these strokes you can customize to where it's going to be pressure sensitive. And what that means is as I'm drawing, I'm able to press harder down on my drawing tablet here, and it's going to affect that stroke a little differently. And let's have something come out of the R there. Cool. And again, just trying to figure out where I want these vines to potentially intertwine and weave in and out. So I don't want to get too complicated here, because the more complicated you make this, more issues you could possibly have further down the road with the intertwine tool. Let's see, what else did we do on my other one here? I think we did the S. We did this fun little loop. Okay, I think that's good for now. We are now going to select everything. So we've selected our type, we've selected our new added vines, and now we're going to go to Option, go on down to Intertwine, which is this new tool that we talked about, Intertwine and Make. Watch our cursor now. Now our cursor changed to this little lasso looking icon. What we're going to do is we're going to draw over all of the overlapping areas that we want to disappear. So now we're going to get the illusion that this vine is sort of weaving in and out of our type, going behind it, going in front of it, and we're able to control it with this tool here. So I'm going to get very precise with what I'm outlining so that we can completely cover it up. And this tool will do it by itself the majority of the work. And I'm just tracing where my letter is. And that literally is like magic. Couldn't tell you how many times I've had to do this manually, and it's tricky. So I think this one we're going to have to make some edits to. And I think I'm going to go Command Z that. And if you click out of this tool, you'll realize that you can't get back to what you were just doing with that lasso tool icon. So what you have to do is make sure everything's selected. Go back up to Option, Intertwine, Edit. And when you click Edit, you're now back in that mode to where you can quickly get in here and continue drawing like what we were doing before. So it's very simple. Again, most of the work is being done for you here. And that's definitely the beauty of this program and this new tool. It just does it so easily. I think we can go over and under. Yeah, this is looking really nice. And you could see that I need to get back here. I want to change this one just a little bit. Just looks a little odd, that leaf. I think that should be good. Now let's get back into editing our intertwine feature here. So edit. Now we should be able to mask that. And we're just going to repeat this over and over until we've hidden all the little pieces that we want to hide. Perfect. I think we're gonna almost there. Oops, messed up on that one. It's okay because we can get right back into it. Repeat the same process. As we start masking out all of these different pieces. Perfect. And check that out. We have seamlessly added this vine throughout all of our type, which is incredible. That really would take so much more time, copy and pasting, repeating different clipping masks before. But now we've got this and it's so much easier. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to click out of our design and I'm going to just make some additional vines that I'm going to send to the back of this. So all of these are going to be behind everything. I don't need them to intertwine with anything. I just want them to fill in some of this additional space that we've created to give an illusion that things are just traveling between these letters in a seamless way. Let's select all the ones we just created. There, and then send to back. Perfect. And one last thing we'll do is we'll have a few of these. Let's go straight up like that. Maybe one that goes down. One that can go off to the side. Even have one come from the side like that. Perfect. And let's also switch it up. Let's go back to a basic brush. Like, I'm gonna go to this basic one here, and we're gonna keep switching back. You know what? We could still use that because we want to keep our leaves. And everything that we just created, again, we're gonna send to the back of our design so that we can hide all of those end caps. Perfect. Now let's make a flower real quick. So to do so, we're going to create a circle. Change the color to maybe a yellow. We're thinking, again, similar to what we did in our example that I've provided with everyone. We'll use the curve tool. There we go. Duplicate that while holding shift, which will drag that straight down. Perfect alignment. Think about there. Select group, copy, paste in place. And I'm going to do the same thing until I have completed shape like you see here. And let's steal that color. Select all of these, align, group. Now we have our little flower here. We're just gonna put these flowers in the areas that we created earlier, giving this little illusion that the flowers are poking out from all ends of the type. So it's really fun to see this come together. And I think we probably need one right here. So I'm going to get back here and draw one more vine. Perfect. Awesome. And then let's not forget our background color. We'll go there. And check that out. We literally created this in just a few minutes, honestly. And the last thing we didn't have was a few of these stars, which I'll just steal from original design. And I'll just paste these over here. And you can watch some of our previous sessions throughout this week because I showed examples of how to make these stars, which are really, really fast, nice little accent pieces to add. Perfect. So I think we did it. And if we want to do an outline mode to see exactly all the shape that we just created, it's not that much. And it's very simple to do. Intertwine tool makes that so much easier. And then also creating that custom brush just gives you so much time to really think about your concepts and just dive in there and start having some fun. So have some fun with this, and where can you take it? Make some new vines, make some new leaves and flowers, and bring this type to life. I'm Tyler Pate, and this has been another day and challenge. And I gotta say, I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.